Anyways, actually, I'm just going to do it in the middle of this. Fuck it. Everyone is hyped for Crimson Desert. Here's what we actually know. So this was GameCraft, and it was posted February 28th. So yesterday. Posted yesterday. All right? GameCraft, let's check it out. Let's see what's what.
The hype around Crimson Desert is everywhere right now. But instead of adding to it, let's slow down and look at what's actually confirmed. In this video, I'll break down everything we officially know so far, what's real gameplay, and what's marketing.
See, I told you, I'm like going deep in. Like, I want to know all I need to know. Like, I've been watching videos about Crimson Desert every day. I just only posted one to YouTube. This one will be another one.
And what still raises serious questions, including one specific design detail that I haven't seen anyone else talk about, that looks great in trailers, but could feel very different after 50 or 100 hours of actually playing the game. Let's get started. First, we need to talk about performance, because this is where things get really
interesting. Look at that, bro. Like, just look how big the map is, bro. Do you see the large fucking mountain on the left? Covered in snow, bro. Comprehend, it's 3/4 up on the screen. You can see it through the clouds right there, just barely, bro. That is a tall ass mountain.
We've seen how Dragon's Dogma 2 was at launch, and how embarrassing Monster Hunter Wilds was as well. Ironically, those two games run Capcom's own proprietary engine, which is the same case here for Crimson Desert. The game is not running on Unreal 5. It's running on their own proprietary engine, the Black Space engine.
I don't know, it's looking pretty good. I know like Unreal Engine 5 is like supposed to be the best engine, right? Like comprehensively, like visually. Yeah, people can come up with something better.
Built specifically for open world games. And the reason matters. They directly reference problems with Unreal Engine 5's handling of LODs, which means level of detail transitions across large distances. It's basically when you're far away from a bunch of trees, they're not very dense or complex, but as you get closer, they have to flesh out a bit more to look more full and dense and realistic. Which is especially relevant right now because The Witcher 4 is using Unreal 5, and they specifically mentioned groundbreaking innovation when it comes to how UE5 handles LODs. So now we have two massive open world RPGs taking completely different technical approaches. And if you've played enough UE5 games recently, your first instinct when looking at this is probably, yeah, this is going to run like ass. And it still might, but there's also real reason for cautious optimism. Because Pearl Abyss made one very specific commitment. They said the game is optimized natively. Not optimized for DLSS or frame generation, optimized natively. DLSS upscaling exists, and but they're treating it like an optional enhancement.
That means like even for people like me who have like the lower level performance console, I am still going to be able to get a good experience because of the way they created the game natively.
Enhancement, not a requirement. And that's a huge difference, because too many modern games rely on upscaling as a crutch. Another interesting sign is platform support. The game is coming on MacBooks with M1 chips and above.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
And on Steam, the recommended GPU is a 2080. That's not low, but it's also not insane for a game of this scale. The install size, though, is 130.
My computer is just outside that. I have a 16 something GTX.
35 gigabytes. With Pearl Abyss saying this is largely due to the size of the world itself, which is a point we'll dive deeper into later. But overall, I'm personally keeping a bit of careful optimism here. Now let's talk about your character. Because despite the scale and systems, Crimson Desert is not a create-your-own character RPG. You are Cliff. He is the protagonist.
I'm Cliff.
Even though you have two other characters that you can build and control, they are not replacement to Cliff. This is his story. You can customize hair, appearance, tattoos, armor colors in what the developers called Mini RP. That said,
cool with what's
customization still looks excellent. You can recolor specific armor sections, customize gear appearance in general, and even customize the horse armor. And for a single player
Like, look at the
story-driven
different ways
RPG,
you can make him look.
this is honestly a very strong level of visual personalization.
I think that's pretty dope, actually.
Now back to the world size, because Crimson Desert map appears to be massive indeed, not just because of the file size. They even showed estimated travel times
Look at
across
this,
the
bro.
map.
Look at this. 6 hours to cross the map by foot, bro. That's fucking crazy, bro.
In different traversal modes, and it's too much. And on paper, that sounds impressive, but that's the kind of marketing that can be a double-edged sword. Because as they say, size doesn't matter. Not always, at least. It's easy to look at this and think it's a red flag. The real question is, what fills that space? Is it
Correct.
meaningful content or empty land?
Hopefully.
Or worse, repetitive, filler, samey content? And this is a legitimate concern, I think, because Crimson Desert isn't a high fantasy world filled with endless monster variety. Most of your enemies are human factions, bandits or soldiers, mercenaries, etc. Which means variety has to come from encounter design, not creature design. And from what we've seen so far, combat often looks like large-scale brawls, you versus 10 enemies or 20, and visually, many of them are just still human enemies with different armor and faction colors.
Right.
So how do you make a world this big feel consistently fresh? Because scale alone means nothing without density and meaningful experiences.
Well, I mean, it showed like crazy monsters and shit too, right? Like maybe it's just not showing monster fights in regular battle. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're just I don't know.
At the same time, Red Dead 2 proved that a massive world can feel alive if it's designed correctly. Not a second spent in that game was boring. Well, maybe Tahiti. But unfortunately, no demo or preview can give us the full picture when it comes to this aspect. It's the kind of thing you have to experience to properly judge. And I do think that's one of the biggest red flags I've seen so far. Gear in this game is unique and deliberate. So it's not like an ARPG or Neo 3, for example, where you will both get an explosion of loot with each piece having some random stats with random generated values. You craft gear, you enhance it and upgrade it, and modify it too. One of the ways they showed is the Abyss gear, which seems to act like sockets. If you take a closer look here, it says Abyss gear can be equipped in a gear socket to gain a range of effect.
It's like Path of Exile 2, like where you have gear, you have sockets, and you can put gems in them.
And it can be equipped or removed through the witches in each region. And this one is also equipable in all weapons. So this is like a gem that you can stick into a piece of gear, and in that case, Gale 1 will give us an attack speed bonus. And on top of that, bosses too can drop unique gear with signature abilities and effects, which creates a powerful incentive to explore optional content.
All I know is the game looks so freaking amazing. I like just watching it. I like just watching the game.
Not just for completion, but for real gameplay advantages. Now here's a design choice that changes how the entire world feels. There is no difficulty setting, and enemies do not scale, which means the world has fixed danger zones. If you wander somewhere too early, you will get destroyed, which reminds you of the classic open world MMO feel. Like in WoW, if you go to Westfall or Duskwood too early, you will regret it immediately. And that's actually a very good thing, because it creates natural progression. Freedom doesn't mean safety, it means risk. And that makes exploration a bit more meaningful.
Right, because you don't know
progression
the level.
is also an aspect.
Like you don't know what you're going up against necessarily going into any fight because you're exploring in a way that doesn't have no direction really.
Where things get really interesting. Because Crimson Desert does not use the traditional leveling system. You don't gain XP, you don't level up.
I like that.
Instead,
it's gonna make
progressions come through something called...
Because I don't think I've really ever played a game that doesn't have experience. Actually, I'm pretty certain I've almost never played a game that doesn't have any form of experience.
Abyss artifacts. These artifacts are earned through exploration, combat, and world activities, and they're used to unlock nodes in a full skill tree. We can see here, each of our 3 characters has their own tree.
Okay, that's
This
dope.
shot seems zoomed in to the max,
Yeah,
maybe to hide the size of the tree or something else.
probably.
This one seems like a
Probably to
simple
hide the
stamina
size of the tree.
efficiency node, which costs Abyss artifacts to unlock, and it seems you can also enhance the
And you got to think, if the world is so massive, right, it's gonna have the skill tree is gonna have to be pretty massive to accommodate the need to go so many different places, right?
same point. So after you
But it's
unlock
because
it, you can invest more in the same node to rank it up. You can reset your stats. I hope that's for free, like in Neo
okay.
3. And we can see up top here different types of artifacts, or maybe higher ranks, or maybe artifacts for each
They already
character.
explained that those are higher acts. I saw in another video that like the ones that are on all the way to the right are like more valuable.
We'll see. And interestingly, some skills can even be learned by observing NPCs performing them,
Knew
which
that
reminds
already.
you of Where Winds Meet if you've played that game. But there's one important
Nope,
unknown
because
here.
I'm trying to get
Can
back
you
into video
unlock
games and I'm
everything
out of those
in
games
one
already. It's too late.
playthrough, or are there meaningful build limitations? Because that decision can obviously change everything about replayability.
Well, I mean, unless I can get to a point where I'm making enough money where, like, if any new game comes out, any game period I want to play at any time, I can just play, right? Because I'll have a computer that can handle the space of all those games. Do you see what I mean? Because that's what one really needs to get to. Like, I have a PS5. You know how much downloading, undownloading, re-downloading video games to play different video games would be? Like, I would have to set up like an hour every day where I would be like, which game am I playing today? Okay, I'm going to play this one. So I have to delete this one and download this one.
Now, when we combine
When I can just play all those games on Steam.
no XP levels, Abyss artifacts and gear as the main progression from activities, no difficulty setting, and no enemy
That looks like it's
scaling.
going to be a fun fight.
That just means, in a way, it is just one experience
Look at these
tuned by the
potheads, bro.
developers.
You see these potheads? You see these potheads running around? They trying to make fun of me, bro? I'm doing a dab right now, bro. You see these potheads? They got potheads running around fighting in this game. Made of rocks, bro. They potheads made of rocks. Running around fighting, bro.
That everyone plays. On the one hand, this can be great for game design coherence.
Look at it.
The
Look at
world
him. He's
doesn't
being-
bend over
he's being
backwards to
clobbered by
match your power
potheads.
level. Areas can be genuinely too hard at first. You can outgrow earlier zones. Enemy placement and encounter design can be carefully curated instead of everything rubber banding to your stats. On the other hand, that also means if the baseline difficulty is too high, a chunk of the players are just going to bounce off. And if it's too low, there's nothing for people who want a challenge. Without scaling, if progression systems are unbalanced, you can break the game early and steamroll everything, or get hard stuck. I think the risk in this design is that you get a system that could feel incredibly rewarding and old school, or just punishing and rigid, depending on how well it's tuned. This is one of those decisions we can only really judge once we've put dozens of hours into the game.
Right.
Another deep system in the game is actually your base camp, because this is not just a cosmetic hub. Initially, it gives serious RDR2 camp vibes, but it's more elaborate than the one in Red Dead. You can build actual structures with interior design elements. You're obviously rebuilding a faction, not just a camp of criminals. I wonder if sleeping in the camp will be a mechanic that would progress the story, like in Baldur's Gate 3.
That'd be cool.
And you can see here, there's a ton of camp resources tracked, and you can buy a variety
Defense,
of food
49.
items from your home base shop. You can
Offense,
even grow your
42,
own
looks
food
like.
and
42
maintain
people.
a full ranch, which is a long-term activity to engage in.
So
clearly.
wow, you can get
But
quite
you
a lot
also
of
have a
people in
full-on
your
life
faction.
sim system. You can cook, learn recipes, fish, hunt,
I'm doing
mine,
it all.
gather flowers, and even
I'm
insects for
gonna do.
alchemy.
I'm gonna do
All of the
multiple
KCD2
variations of this
stuff that
build.
we loved, basically. Now, since you're building your faction back up, and you rescue some of your comrades along the way, they will head to the new base camp, flesh it out, and potentially be helpful workers too. Your camp will grow to become a stronghold, and you can see here, you can send your guys on missions. This one, for
Yeah.
example, is about building a statue. It takes more than 2 days, 4 to 6 guys, and all of these resources. and your reward will be 1.4k contribution to Delician, which is another faction in the world. But that's not all. You
Okay,
also
that's
can
cool.
send your
That's cool.
guys on combat missions to capture other forts or enemy bases. There's even a dynamic trade.
Like, I want to know if you can send them and then go with them, right? Like, so like when they get there, you are there to be a part of their attack. You know what I'm talking about? Like a full scale onslaught by your army.
Trading system with weekly price changes. You can see here in your base, there's a trading center, which is clearly borrowing some elements from Black Desert. We can see this item has a tracked weekly price. Remember, the game doesn't have online components, so it's not like this is trading with other players, which raises an obvious question. What actually affects those prices?
Right? Exactly. Dude, that's a good question you just said, but I was thinking like maybe like just because that's cool, like it gives a dynamic of like a realness to the world, like because prices are tracked and go up and down depending on what is happening in the world, probably.
Is it your actions or world events, regional conditions? We don't know yet, but it adds another long-term progression layer. The majority of the content is the faction and side content. They even said
I mean, look,
bosses
you're
aren't a
fighting
huge part of the game.
Whitehorn.
I'm not sure what to think of that. I want a
I don't even
massive
know what to
world
call
bigger
it,
than Red Dead 2's map, like they say. But the Souls-like player in me also wants lots of cool, unique, challenging bosses. The game also includes many side activities. Arena combat, horse racing, archery or a shooting range,
Doing it all,
arm
baby.
wrestling, gambling minigames, which I think is always a welcome change because it adds variety beyond combat and story progression. And combat itself also includes several interesting mechanics. They have the sword glint mechanic similar to what we had in Shadow of the Colossus. Outside of combat, it helps you identify points of interest, and in combat, it can briefly stun your enemies. Also worth mentioning, there's no durability on weapons or gear, but there is still durability on your tools. There's also a crime or honor system. Your actions do have consequences. And while it may not be as deep as Red Dead 2's...
So, like, I know one variation is I'm going to be a straight-on menace, bro. I'm just going to cause havoc right from the beginning of the game. Not the first run-through, not the first playthrough. The first playthrough, I'm going to be a good guy. I'm going to be the good guy and win the game like a good guy.
It still adds weight
I'm
to player
also going to be the bad guy. And then there's also going to be, like, I'm going to be, like, the good guy that does bad things and gets away with it because no one sees me. Like, so I'm going to learn how to do bad things without getting caught. So that way I can still do the good guy stuff.
A Yeti boss that looks like early game.
Once I get mastered the game, that's mastered.
And the menu has only 3 sections up here. But we can see a good overview of stats and inventory during combat, which pauses the game when you open it. And here he uses some food to heal up. Having a Yeti fight this early really brings back first Berserker Kazan vibes. And it looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
needless to say,
amazing.
As you can see in all the footage, this isn't a Souls-like. Combat is too actiony and bombastic, with lots of grappling moves that look like WWE moves, and quite a bunch of over-the-top crazy moves like this swing and roll, like your Blanca from Street Fighter, only to land on spikes to destroy them.
That's Blanca.
Or even this one, this belly flop attack. With all the variety of moves and combos and situational skills and abilities, it seems like the input mapping is a bit complex. So it's not like a simple quick attack, heavy attack, dodge, block, and parry.
And then it's like, how many moves can you learn from observation? And how long will that take? And can you even learn every move in the game from the ability to observe? Can you learn all of them in one playthrough? Is that even possible?
And you're good to go. There are combinations of buttons to achieve multiple different commands. I think this is the kind of game where if you leave it for a few days and come back, you'll feel like you forgot how to play. It would definitely help if you have a controller with some extra buttons maybe, or if you're using a mouse, to have something like an MMO mouse. Which is a good segue for me to recommend the mouse and controller I use.
But they're not extra
They both have quite a bunch of extra buttons to bind to whatever you want. You'll find Amazon links to them down below. And similar to Black Desert's combat, there's a ton of particle effects with everything. This actually brings me to my nitpick that I mentioned in the intro.
I mean, I guess I could just buy a keyboard and mouse for my PlayStation. I don't know how I would have to do a Bluetooth mouse that works for PlayStation or Bluetooth. I could just do both of them Bluetooth. I don't know. A gaming keyboard. I would have to do a whole nother keyboard because I can't. So that way I can still use the keyboard that I'm using for my mouse and stuff for my computer. And then I can play this game with keyboard and mouse. And that'd give me more control. Nah, I'm a controller player. I can't help it. But my buttons on the back of the controller, right? Like, are definitely going to be helpful. You know what I'm saying? And I'm playing PlayStation, so this is unless I get a modded controller that has 4 buttons. Then I have the best controller I can get right now. That's a $200 controller, so I mean, like, I'm doing pretty good.
I noticed this in nearly every video, and I haven't seen anyone comment on it. Maybe I'm barking at the
yeah, the vibration, bro, all the synaptic feedback, I'm gonna put that shit to the max for this game.
Tree here, but in all the footage we saw, when it comes to combat, there's a very cool looking bunch of effects that serve the purpose of a trailer very well. But I really worry that when you play the game for a while, they can be quite annoying for some people. We know there will obviously be options to disable camera shake.
Well, I mean, like, there's gonna be some people are gonna be annoyed regardless, bro.
And probably tone down those particle effects. But this one is the one I'm worried about. I don't know what to call it, maybe like chromatic noise or distortion. Look at this. With many of the hits, there is a slowdown and then black and white. Darken, black and white. Black and white again. Darken again. Black and white. I don't even think I managed to catch all of them.
No, yeah, I get what
and
you're
then
saying.
Here,
though.
there's this oversaturation effect too on top of all this. This spam is all over the place. It looks cool cinematically, but I think it would annoy a good amount of players, especially if the game is combat heavy, or if people actually enjoy the combat and want to do more of it. This constant color distortion can be really annoying, and I really hope there's some simple accessibility feature to just turn it off. But like I said, this might be nothing, and if there's an option for it, then we're good. When it comes to the hot topic of monetization,
I didn't even notice
there
it
are
before until you
pre-order
pointed it
cosmetic
out. That
bonuses.
sucks.
But outside of that, they confirmed there is no cash shop, no paid cosmetics, everything is earned in-game, which is fantastic. However, as great as this is to hear, we have to pay attention to the important clarification by Will Powers, the director of marketing, who specifically said at launch.
Right.
And that wording matters.
So at some point, there's probably going to be
because with so many
microtransactions.
MMO-like systems already present, it wouldn't be surprising to see online modes or monetization introduced later. If the game performs well, they sure will want to keep it alive and create additional content, like he said, which will have its own financials. That's why the commitment to no cash shop is specifically at launch.
Right,
for
it's
now
just
at
to
least.
lure everybody in.
I'm personally really excited for this game, and I'll obviously be covering it.
Oh my
hopefully
goodness,
bringing
dang,
you
that's
the
crazy.
best
Look how
guides
you
and
killed
tips
that dude.
possible. Now let me know in the comments how you're feeling about
Yep,
this
right
game.
in the forehead.
Super
Bam,
hyped,
dead,
or
bitch.
cautious, or maybe indifferent. In any case, thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.
Why the bandits were scared to death.
I see why the bandits were scared to death. I see why the bandits were scared to death. That's his voice. I see why the bandits are scared to death. Well, he's dead now. The bandits don't need to be scared no more. Oh, this game looks crazy. I can't wait. Like, he actually told a lot of good stuff. Subscribe to him. Amazing stuff is about to happen. You guys don't know. Comprehend. I got this tattoo basically for free. Because of the timing and when I did it. It was such grand timing.